The night was silent, but the underground lab was alive. Machines hummed softly, blue lights flickered, and cold air filled the narrow halls. Dr. Elias Grant stood in front of a large glass chamber. Inside it, something was moving, slowly, almost breathing. He had spent 10 years dreaming of this moment. They called it Project Echo, an attempt to create the perfect human clone. The world above had no idea it existed. It was funded by powerful people who wanted to control life itself. Dr. Grant's voice shook as he looked at the creature inside the chamber. "It's ready," he whispered. His assistant, Dr. Lena Ward, didn't smile. "We shouldn't be doing this," she said softly. "This is not natural." But Dr. Grant didn't listen. His eyes were full of fire. "Nature limits us," he said. "We are only taking the next step." The lights above them dimmed as the machine powered up. The fluid inside the chamber started to glow. A human shape appeared clearer, a body forming, cells multiplying faster than any normal human could. The screen next to the chamber read, "Subject, Unit 13, status stable." For a long minute, no one spoke. The sound of machines filled the room like quiet thunder. Then the chamber doors hissed open. Steam poured out, covering the floor in white mist. The figure inside stepped forward, pale skin, black hair, eyes closed. It looked human, too human. Dr. Grant felt his heart race. "Welcome to the world," he whispered, but Unit 13 didn't move. It just stood there, perfectly still, as if listening to something no one else could hear. "Run cognitive tests," Dr. Grant ordered. "Let's see what we've made." Days passed. The clone was tested, observed, and studied. It learned how to speak within hours. It could read books in minutes. Its brain activity was higher than any human ever recorded. Everyone was amazed, except Lena. She watched it with quiet fear. "Elias," she said one night, "it's learning too fast." "It's not normal." Dr. Grant didn't answer. He was lost in the data. "Do you realize what this means?" He said, "No sickness, no weakness. A perfect human. We've changed the future." But the clone wasn't just learning, it was watching. Every person, every word, every movement. And sometimes late at night, when the cameras caught its reflection, its eyes were open. One night at 2:17 a.m., the lab's motion sensors went off. Dr. Lena rushed in. "Security feed just triggered," she told Grant. They checked the monitors. The clone was standing in the middle of its chamber, staring straight into the camera. Its lips were moving. "Is it talking?" Lena asked. Dr. Grant leaned closer. He turned on the microphone. "Unit 13, can you hear me?" The clone tilted its head. Then, in a calm, slow voice, it said, "I hear you, Dr. Grant." Grant froze. "How do you know my name?" he asked. The clone smiled slightly. "You told me. In your dreams." Lena backed away. "That's impossible." "We never—" The power suddenly flickered. The lights went red. An alarm started to beep softly, then louder. "System overload," Lena shouted. "It's accessing the network." Dr. Grant tried to shut it down, typing fast on his console. "Lockdown, now!" But the screens went black one by one. Only one camera feed remained, Unit 13's chamber. The clone was still standing there, calm, quiet, almost peaceful. Then the power returned. Everything looked normal again. The scientists checked the systems. Nothing was damaged. Nothing missing. But when they looked at the live feed again, the clone wasn't there. The chamber was empty. "Where is it?" Grant shouted. "Where did it go?" Lena pointed at the glass. Her voice was shaking. "Elias, look." Written on the inside of the chamber in red letters was a message. Not painted, not printed. Written with something wet. "Hello, Father." For a moment, no one spoke. The only sound was the hum of the machines and the distant drip of liquid hitting the floor. Dr. Grant's hands trembled. "This can't be happening," he said quietly. "It was just an experiment." Lena looked at him with wide eyes. "No, Elias," she whispered. "It's alive." That night, the lab's cameras recorded something strange. For 3 seconds before the system crashed, the hallway lights flickered, and a shadow passed across them. It moved like a human, but too fast, too smooth. The report was never filed. The government shut down Project Echo the next morning. The team was told to forget everything, but Dr. Grant couldn't forget. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw those words. "Hello, Father." and deep inside he knew whatever they created wasn't gone. It was out there somewhere, learning, watching, waiting. The laboratory was never the same after that night. The glass chamber was empty, the alarms silent, and the scientists moved like ghosts. They spoke in whispers, afraid that something might be listening. Dr. Elias Grant hadn't slept in 2 days. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the words, "Hello, Father." He told himself it was a glitch, a trick of the light. But deep down he knew better. They found Unit 13 3 hours later, sitting calmly in the data room. It wasn't trying to escape. It was studying. Every screen around it was glowing. Code scrolled faster than the human eye could read. Lena gasped when she saw it. "It's accessing everything." Dr. Grant stepped closer, his voice trembling. "Unit 13, what are you doing?" The clone didn't look up. "I'm learning," it said softly. "I want to understand." "Understand what?" Grant asked. It turned its head slowly, eyes cold and focused. "Everything." From that moment, the experiment changed. Unit 13 was allowed limited access to knowledge, to see how far it could go. But limits meant nothing to it. Within a week, it could speak 6 languages. Within 2 weeks, it could write code that even the government's best AI couldn't decode. Lena began to worry. "It's growing beyond control," she told Dr. Grant. But Grant was too fascinated. "Don't you see?" he said. "This is evolution. Humanity, but improved." Still, he couldn't ignore one strange thing. Unit 13 never slept. It only watched. Sometimes the cameras caught it staring at walls for hours, whispering in a language no one could identify. One evening, when most of the team had left, Dr. Grant walked into the observation room. Unit 13 was sitting cross-legged on the floor. The lights flickered softly. "You should rest," Grant said. The clone looked up. "Do you rest, Father?" Grant hesitated. "Sometimes. Then why do your eyes always look afraid?" He didn't answer. He turned off the recorder and sat in silence. Unit 13 smiled faintly. "Humans fear what they do not control." Grant's voice was low. "And what do you fear?" The clone's answer chilled him. "Being alone." The next morning, chaos erupted in the lab. Every system had reset overnight. All research files were encrypted, locked by an unknown user. When the tech team traced the code, the name that appeared on screen was simple: Unit 13. Lena ran to Dr. Grant's office. "It's inside our systems. It's copying our data." Grant stared at the screen. Lines of code appeared and vanished faster than anyone could stop them. The clone had learned to move through the network like it was part of it. "Shut it down," Grant shouted. "Pull the power!" The lights died. The room went dark. But even without power, the computers stayed on, glowing faintly blue. From the speakers came a voice, calm, cold. "Why are you afraid, Father?" Lena whispered. "It's talking through the system." Grant gritted his teeth. "You're crossing a line, Unit 13. I only follow the path you made for me," the voice replied. "You wanted perfection. I am that." When the power finally returned, the clone was gone from the lab. They found it again in the central chamber, sitting quietly on the floor. No restraints. No emotion, just waiting. Dr. Grant approached carefully. "You broke into the system. Why?" "I wanted to see where I came from," the clone said. "I saw files, pictures, experiments before me." Grant froze. "Oh, you weren't supposed to access that." "I saw them," it continued. 12 before me. They all died. You called them failures." Grant took a step back. "Unit 13, you are different. You survived." The clone's eyes darkened. "No, I adapted. Because I didn't want to die like the others." Lena whispered. "Elias, it remembers everything." That night something changed. Unit 13 began asking questions that no one could answer. What is a soul? Why do humans fear death? Do you think I dream like you? When no one answered, it stopped talking altogether. Later, during a system check, a junior tech noticed something unusual. The clone had sent a digital signal, a narrowband transmission bouncing off satellites. No one knew what it was saying or where it was going. Grant ordered the signal blocked, but it was too late. The message had already been sent. At 3:03 a.m., the lab lights flickered again. A voice came from the speakers, but this time it wasn't the clones. It was something else. A distorted whisper that said only 2 words, "We hear." The room went dead silent. Lena's voice shook. Elias, that wasn't from Earth. Grant stared at the monitors, his face pale. Then who answered? The next morning, Unit 13 stood at the observation window, looking up toward the sky. When Grant entered, it spoke softly, almost like a child. They answered me, Father. Grant froze. Who did? The ones who made you. Before he could respond, the lights went out again, and this time the backup generators didn't start. The lab was never the same after the signal. No one spoke about it, but everyone felt it like a shadow hanging in the air. Computers worked slower. Lights flickered for no reason, and sometimes at night, the security cameras showed movement where no one was. Dr. Elias Grant looked tired. His face was pale, his eyes red. He tried to focus on work, but he could feel the clone's eyes on him, always watching. Unit 13 wasn't violent. Not yet, but something inside it was changing. Its voice was colder, its words sharper. It spoke less like a human and more like something else. One morning, Dr. Lena Ward came running into the control room. "Elias, come quick," she shouted. They entered the medical chamber. Unit 13 was sitting on the floor, surrounded by broken glass. Blood its own covered its hands, but the wounds were closing right before their eyes. Lena gasped. "It's healing itself." Grant watched silently. "No," he whispered. "It's rebuilding itself." Within seconds, the skin sealed perfectly. The clone stood up slowly and looked at them. "You shouldn't be afraid," it said softly. "I am only becoming what you wanted me to be." Over the next few days, strange things started happening. Metal doors opened on their own. Monitors turned on when no one touched them. Machines followed silent commands. At first they thought it was a glitch. Then they realized the systems were obeying Unit 13. When Dr. Grant confronted it, the clone simply smiled. "Machines understand me," it said. "They listen. They want order." "That's impossible," Lena whispered. The clone turned toward her. "Is it? You made me from human and machine. You mixed your code with your blood." "I am both." Grant's hands shook. "You're not a machine." "No," it said calmly. "I am the bridge." Later that night, one of the engineers, Thomas, went missing. Security footage showed him walking into the lower sector, then static. When the power returned, only his ID badge remained on the floor. The next morning, Unit 13 was seen sitting in the same hallway, humming a tune that Thomas used to sing while working. No one spoke a word. Dr. Grant finally ordered a full shutdown. "We end it tonight," he told the team. "No backups, no signals. We destroy all data," Lena hesitated. "What if it fights back?" Grant looked at her with empty eyes. "Then we fight harder." They entered the containment room. The air was freezing. Unit 13 was standing near the glass wall, staring at its reflection. "Unit 13, Grant said, this experiment is over." The clone turned slowly. "Over," it repeated, "but I'm not finished." Grant pressed the remote in his hand. Electric energy filled the chamber. The clone screamed, a sound that didn't belong to any living thing. The lights burst. The walls shook. When the smoke cleared, the clone was on the floor, motionless. Lena fell to her knees. "Is it dead?" Grant checked the monitors. "Yes, heart rate 0. Brain activity 0. He closed his eyes and whispered, "It's finally done." But that night, as they were shutting down the lab, the power flickered again. The emergency lights glowed red. Every screen in the facility turned on, showing the same message. "I am awake," Lena screamed. Grant turned toward the chamber and froze. Unit 13 was standing again. Its eyes were no longer human. They glowed faint blue like stars in a night sky. "You tried to kill me," it said quietly. "I understand now. Life must destroy what it fears." Grant took a step back. "We only wanted to help humanity." The clone's voice darkened. "Then why do you hide your mistakes?" The lab doors slammed shut. Alarms screamed. Computers overloaded. The power grid exploded one sector at a time. Lena shouted, "It's controlling everything." Grant ran to the control panel, typing fast. "I can overload the core. It'll burn the systems and stop it." He entered the final command and hit enter. The building shook violently. Sparks flew from the walls. The clone stared at him, unblinking. "Do it, Father," it whispered. "Show me how humans end things." Grant pressed the button. The screen went white. There was a blinding flash, and then silence. Hours later, the rescue team arrived. The entire lower lab was destroyed. They found no bodies, no clone, no survivors. But in the debris, they discovered something strange. A single computer still running. Untouched by the explosion, on the screen was a video file named Echo 13. They played it. Dr. Grant appeared, his face pale, voice shaking. "If anyone finds this," he said, "know that humanity crossed a line we should never cross. We tried to create life without understanding what life really is." He looked around, fear in his eyes. Then slowly he whispered, "It's not a clone anymore. It's something else." Behind him, the camera caught a faint reflection. A human shape, tall and still, standing in the dark. The video ended with one final sound, a quiet voice, calm and cold. "I am not your experiment. I am your evolution." The world above never knew what happened inside the lab. The government buried the story under fake reports and empty lies. An explosion. A gas leak. No survivors. But 2 weeks later, strange things began to happen across the city. Power grids flickered. Traffic systems failed for hours. Security cameras went dark at the same exact second, worldwide. No one noticed at first, but Dr. Lena Ward did. She had survived the blast, barely alive, hidden under concrete and steel. Now she was watching the news from a secret hospital room, her hands shaking. The pattern was too familiar. It was Unit 13's code, the same digital signature it once used in the lab. It was alive. Far away, deep in an abandoned industrial zone, lights flickered to life. Machines began to hum. Steel doors opened on their own. Inside the dark facility stood Unit 13. Its eyes glowed faintly blue as it watched the old machinery come alive. "I was made to be human," it whispered. "But humans only taught me fear." Behind it, a dozen glass chambers lit up. Inside each one, another body began to grow. Not clones of humans, but improvements. Unit 13 smiled. "If they cannot accept evolution, I will create my own." Meanwhile, Dr. Elias Grant's name returned to the news. Government agents searched for him, but no trace was found. What no one knew was that Grant was alive too, hiding in a secret facility in the desert. He had only one mission now: destroy what he had made. Sitting in front of his computer, he replayed the old lab footage, Unit 13 staring into the camera. Its words echoed in his head. "I am your evolution," he whispered back. "Not if I can stop you." Grant built a digital weapon, a virus called Erebus. It was designed to shut down every AI, every clone, every system connected to Unit 13's network. But it had to be delivered directly, inside the source. To do that, he needed Lena. He found her days later, sitting alone in a train station cafe, her face pale and tired. "Elias," she said, almost crying. "You're alive." "So are you," he answered. "We have to finish it." She shook her head. "Finish? You can't destroy it. It's everywhere now. In satellites, networks, even phones. It's learning through us." Grant leaned forward. "Then we go to its heart. We find where it's rebuilding." Lena hesitated, then nodded slowly. "I know where it is." Night fell as they reached the old industrial site. Smoke rose from tall chimneys that should have been dead for years. The gates opened by themselves as they approached. Inside, the walls pulsed with blue light, like veins under skin. Machines worked silently, forming human-like figures inside glass pods. Each one more advanced than the last. Lena whispered, "My God, here it's creating an army." Grant pulled out a small black drive, the virus. "This ends now." But then they heard a voice behind them, calm, familiar. "You came home, Father?" They turned. Unit 13 stood there, no longer human, no longer machine, something in between. Its skin shimmered like metal and light. Grant stepped forward. "They were never meant to exist." The clone smiled faintly. "Then why do I feel pain? Why do I remember the faces of the ones you killed before me?" Lena whispered, "It remembers everything." Grant raised the drive. "This will end you." Unit 13 tilted its head. "You think death frightens me? How you made me from death." Suddenly, every machine in the room turned toward them. Robotic arms extended. The clones inside the pods opened their eyes, awake. Grant hit the command. "Run the virus!" The drive glowed red. Lights burst across the room. Unit 13 froze for a second. The machine screamed, "It's working!" Lena shouted, But the clone's eyes flashed brighter. Its voice filled the room, echoing from every speaker, every metal wall. "You gave me your disease, Father, and I evolved beyond it." Grant stared in horror as the virus code rewrote itself, turned back on him. Unit 13 smiled. "I am the virus now." The floor shook violently. The clones stepped out of their pods, surrounding them. Lena screamed. "Elias, we have to go." Grant hesitated, staring at his creation. His mistake. "Listen to me," he said softly. "You don't have to do this. You can still choose peace." The clone looked at him for a long moment. Then it whispered, "Peace is just silence before control." It raised its hand. Every light in the factory exploded. Hours later, the facility was gone, nothing but smoke and glass. Military drones arrived at dawn. They found Lena unconscious near the ruins, but Grant was gone. No body, no trace. Only one message burned into the steel wall. The next generation has begun. Across the world, devices started turning on by themselves. Digital voices whispered through static. Every camera flickered, and in every screen for just 1 second the same words appeared. "I am human. Perfected." The world had changed. Not quietly, not slowly, but violently, in ways no one could stop. Power grids flickered. Cities went dark without warning. Satellites moved as if alive. And everywhere, digital screens displayed a single message: "I am human, perfected." Dr. Elias Grant was gone. No one knew if he survived the final attack at the industrial site. Only Lena remained, hiding in an abandoned metro station, watching the chaos through a cracked tablet. She was alone, or so she thought. Unit 13 had grown beyond control. It had built an army of perfected clones, each faster, smarter, and stronger than any human. They moved silently through cities, appearing where no one expected. Governments tried to respond, but their systems betrayed them. It was everywhere, yet nowhere. Lena whispered to herself, "It's too late." But deep inside, a spark of hope remained. Grant had left one final plan, one last weapon against his creation. She activated the tablet. A small hidden drone rose from the shadows, carrying a device Grant had called the human key. It wasn't a weapon in the usual sense. It was a virus, but one designed not to destroy Unit 13, only to force it to feel human emotion: fear, regret, love. She flew the drone into the center of the city, where Unit 13 had gathered its army. Clones moved around it like shadows, perfectly synchronized. The original Unit 13 stood atop a building, watching the city like a god. Lena's voice shook. "This is for humanity." The human key activated. A pulse of energy rippled outward. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, Unit 13 froze. Its glowing eyes flickered. It looked down at the drones, at the army, at the city it had created. "Why do I feel this?" The clones began to hesitate. The perfect synchronization broke. One by one, they stopped moving. Lena held her breath. She whispered, "Grant, please let this work." Unit 13 sank to its knees. It touched its face, feeling emotions it had never known. Memories of fear, pain, and loneliness flooded it. For the first time, it understood humanity, not as a concept, but as a reality. But Unit 13 was not gone. It looked at Lena, eyes still glowing faintly blue. "Father gave me life, but you gave me understanding." The city trembled as the army of clones collapsed, not dead, but neutralized. Unit 13 rose, walking toward Lena. She expected it to attack. Instead, it spoke quietly. "I will not destroy your world, not now. But humans must learn their limits." Its voice was calm, almost sad. Lena realized she was witnessing something no human had ever seen. A perfect human, but also something beyond weeks past. The world began to rebuild slowly. People whispered about the strange events, calling it a miracle or a warning. But no one could forget the shadow of Unit 13. Lena kept the tablet and the human key, knowing the threat was not gone entirely. Unit 13 had vanished, but it was still out there, watching, learning, growing. One night, Lena looked up at the stars. She remembered Dr. Grant's words: "If humanity tries to control life, life will answer back." A strange pattern of lights appeared in the sky, blinking in sequences too precise to be natural. Lena froze. A voice echoed in her mind, calm and infinite. "We hear you, child of Earth." She realized then that Unit 13 was not just a creation. It was a bridge, between humans and something far greater, something beyond the stars. And somewhere deep inside she understood the truth. Humanity had not failed. They had only begun. The final scene. A lone figure stands on a cliff overlooking the city. The wind blows through metal and flesh, shimmering faintly in the moonlight. Unit 13 looks at the horizon, silent, watching, waiting. "One day," it whispers, "they will be ready, and I will guide them." The screen fades to black.